Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. It is a windy October day here in Southwest Florida. There are leaves, fronds still up in the tree that are cracked from Hurricane Milton and didn't fall down, that now are dry enough, so I think they're going to be falling down. So if I seem a little nervous, you know, I may be a little bit worried about something falling down on me or on my orchids. What I have today is I want to share a few different orchids with you that have come into bloom since Milton came through. And these are all Cattleya types. I have some additional things I want to share with you at the end that are just kind of interesting. But for right now, let's start into a few of my current blooms. And I want to start with this one right here because this is Ports of Paradise. The cultivar is Emerald Isle. This is an old named orchid. It is, as you might be able to tell from the Emerald Isle, it is a green to yellow orchid. So the flowers open up when the flowers first open up. So these two flowers right here are newer, and they're really green, and then over time what happens is they turn just a little bit yellow, not bright yellow, but just a little bit yellow. This is a great plant. The only problem with this is it does tend to spread a little bit, so it does tend to kind of open up and go a little crazy. And this is one of 4 plants that I have of this specific cultivar. The plant my original plant that I've had for a few years, it got big and it needed to be divided. And I think I divided it into 4 plants. I have them, just did a little experiment, spread them all over the place. This plant normally doesn't live here. This lives on my fence that's right over there. And the plant, it's been growing well. It's all my plants been growing well and doing well. I think I may have, yeah, there's another division that's up in the pergola. It's not quite as big and it hasn't bloomed yet. So this I divided a couple of years ago into 4 smaller plants, and this is the first bloom that I've had off of one of the divisions, and it's been 2 years. This is destined for a neighbor of mine who just really loves Ports of Paradise, Emerald Isle, and so this will go to her soon. But right now it's just started to open. This bloom opened maybe around 5 days ago. These 2 opened. This probably opened yesterday. This might have opened up this morning. The nice thing about this, well, and this will be in the future, this plant will be loaded and hopefully my other plants will bloom as well. The thing about this plant, and it may be because of the color of the blooms, but it has kind of a sweet, lemony fragrance associated with it. Because of the frilliness on the lip here, there's a lot of Digbyana in the background of this plant. So it's just a big, you know, a pretty big flower. It's got some frilliness to it. The color is something I don't love, but I have used this in my crosses, and no blooms yet, but I have used this and I'll continue to use this. So it's just really a nice plant. It tends to hold up well. It does sprawl a little bit as it's growing, but it is a great plant. And it's an older variety, and people generally love this thing. I don't have any problem growing with it. My understanding is that some people do, but this plant has always done well for me. And if you look at it, I don't know if you can tell because of where it is, you can see it does tend to sprawl out just a little bit here, but for the most part it's contained and it's doing well and it's growing upright. It's tending right now, because I moved it from its location and because of the wind, it's tending tends to get blown around quite a bit, and normally, like I said, it's in a little bit more of a protected location. All right, so Ports of Paradise, Emerald Isle. Let me show you, and this is, I'm grabbing up here, this is where this orchid lives, right at the top of my pergola. This is a nice, small, more recent purchase from RF Orchids, and this is Guarcotonio Gretchen Garriques. And I like, this is a small, really pretty, dainty, flared cattleya. And this thing is always blooms for me. Here's another bloom spike right here from a previous bloom. And I put this, it's a nice small, it's a nice compact plant that tends to do, for me at least, really well. I've had multiple flowers on this before. I've tried using this in crosses unsuccessfully at this point. But I do really like this plant, and I increased the pot size. It was in a 4-inch pot, and it did really well, and now I have it in a huge, I don't know, I think this is a 6-inch pot. It seems to be growing well. I've got a lot more a lot more, pseudobulbs that are growing out of this. But this plant, I like the flowers on it. They, when I take a close-up image or video of this, you can really see how pretty the flowers are. It's not quite as noticeable because the flowers are so small, but I'm thinking if I can incorporate the flower color, shape, and size into a bigger flower, cross something bigger onto this, that may be something really special that will result. No fragrance that I can tell on this plant. Nope. Previous times there was no fragrance, which is a shame, but I do like this plant a lot because it is so floriferous. It blooms a lot, not one time of the year, but it blooms continually, and it just really does put on a little bit of a show here. Again, not big flowers, but still pretty nice. Okay, moving on to the close to last plant that I wanted to share with you, and this one is right here. And this one also lives in my pergola. It doesn't live where I had it. I kind of moved it out so I could get better access to it. But this is Star Ruby. The cultivar is Xanadu, and this plant is from Palmer Orchids. That's where it was originally from, but I think I won this at my local orchid society. I don't know if it was a raffle or bingo, but I've had this plant for a few years. I thought I lost it once, but it grew back, and it's doing really well. A nice small compact plant, as you might imagine from the flowers. It's got Nodosa in it, but it's got some nice coloration. It's got the star-shaped flowers from Nodosa. No fragrance, but I haven't come out and smelled it at night. Maybe I need to do that. But it seems to be doing really well right now. I've tried crossing onto this unsuccessfully. But I'm going to keep on trying because I do like this flower. Again, cross something bigger onto it. The flower is nice because you got the star-shaped, sepals and petals. You got a little bit of spotting on those, not much, but just a little bit. But the lip, again, because of the Nodosa, it has a really large lip, and the coloration is pretty striking. The purple lip, it's just a beautiful little flower. Seems to be really, after it recovered, it seems to be growing really well. Again, Star Ruby Xanadu, and I think, even though it's from Palmer Orchids, I think I've seen this at Home Depot and Lowe's. It's a pretty common orchid, and it blooms a lot for me, again, after it recovered. Okay, so this one I'm going to place back up here temporarily, and then I'm going to put it back home up in the pergola where it goes. But I do want to show you one more thing, and we're going to take a little bit of a detour from the cattleyas, and I want to show you what my Catasetums are doing. And my Catasetums, because they're thin-leaved, they got really beaten, ripped apart by the wind of Hurricane Milton. But I want to show you what my Catasetums are doing this time of the year. Some of the Catasetums, and I've got a small one right here, so the Catasetums are, they're starting to go dormant. So what happens is the leaves senesce, they turn yellow and brown, and they fall off. All of mine, except for this one right here, are growing well. They haven't really lost any of the leaf coloration, not turning yellow. But I want to show you something. I'm going to move the camera, and I want to show you what's going on with some of my Catasetums. And I keep my Catasetums on the edge of my pergola and a little brighter light, so it's going to get a little brighter and windier. And I want to show you something special that's going on with a couple of these plants. All right, and we're back, and I am in the sun. It's a little brighter here, but here's one of the Catasetums up here that's at the edge of my pergola, and this is where this plant lives, is up here. And this is one that just got just torn up, just ripped by Hurricane Milton. So it's, you know, it got torn up pretty well. Maybe the leaves are starting to yellow just a little bit, but you know, the part that got ripped up, they're not looking really well. This is a division that I made. This Catasetum is a Fred Clark hybrid, and this is Catasetum Graham Wood. This plant it just blooms for me constantly. It was blooming during Milton, and the flowers just got shredded, the leaves got shredded, again, thin leaves, and it was it was right here on the edge, and so the wind accessed it pretty easily. So I have two divisions of this plant. I've got another one right here that I think you can see. But what's going on with both of these plants, and this one is a little bit buried deeper in, not much deeper, but buried a little bit deeper in my pergola. And this one doesn't have as much damage, but this one was flowering too, and it had open flowers. The interesting thing is that on this plant is that there's a new pseudobulb growing out of here, and there's a new flower spike coming out of here too. So, you know, what's going on this time of the year is that these things go into dormancy. But the reality of it is this plant, this specific plant, it's putting out new pseudobulbs, it's putting out new flowers, but this one tends to do this. This is a nice plant, and you do get variation. This is a seedling, hasn't been awarded, it's not a cultivar yet, it's not named, but, well, it is, the Grex is named, but this specific plant is one of a seedling, and the seedlings are very different from this cross, and you can see the variety of different seedlings, the flowers from that on orchid roots. And anyway, this is a great plant, and it's both my plants here. This one is not putting out a new pseudobulb, but the flower spike is coming out, and the same thing on this right here. There's a flower spike coming out of here. So I just wanted to share that, you know, in spite of what goes on, in spite of how torn up this plant looks, it's putting out a new pseudobulb, putting out a new bulb, a new cane, and then also putting out a new flower. And I do have another one right here, and I just want to show you what this plant, and this is where this one lives also. So this is another Catasetum that I have, and let me see what this one is. So this is Fred Clark After Dark, and so this is a black or really dark Catasetum. But look at the size of this plant. This is doing very well. I have a few divisions of this plant as well because it does grow so well. But this put out a huge. This is the tallest, tallest growth that I've gotten out of this. This plant has not bloomed. Oh, there's something going on over here. Just saw it as I'm playing with the plant. I don't know whether that is it's got to be a flower right here. I'll get a close-up of it. But yay, I'm excited. So again, the last thing with these, I'm looking at this plant and I'm looking at the bottom of the leaves. These are very susceptible to spider mites because they're thin leaves, and there's something going on here but I think I'm okay. I think it may be some, you know, there's some black stuff and it may be some fungus, but because the leaves aren't really turning yellow, I don't think it's a pathogenic fungus. Sometimes you just get fungi because it's so moist that grows on the leaves. I may clean them up. I may hit them with fungicide. I'm not really sure. Well, I am going to hit all these guys with fungicide because I need to at this point. But anyway, this is another one of my Catasetums. I do have a few more. It's not the main plant that I like to grow. I don't do crosses on this, but I do have some Catasetum seedlings in the laboratory that I'm growing for a colleague, and they're growing. They're very vigorous and they're doing really well. They tend to do well outside in my area. I had the plant propagator Junior she's gifted me, actually she gifted me this one right here, the one that I pulled down and showed you. And so she loves Catasetums, and she's gifted me a few that didn't do well for her in the Midwest, and I bring them here and they take a little bit more light, about the same amount of light as the Cattleyas, maybe a little bit more, and they tend to do well. So I like growing them because they tend to do well. All right, so I just wanted to share those last few plants with you, just to kind of give you an update of what's going on with my Cattleyas and with my Catasetums. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you could click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. All right, that's it. That's all I have for you today. Again, I hope you enjoy it, and happy propagating.